What would you do if you came home to find strangers inside your house ripping things apart with a clipboard and a logo on their shirt? Imagine pulling into your driveway after a long day at work and your front door is standing wide open. Your lock is gone. Your belongings are scattered across the lawn. And inside, strangers in polo shirts are walking through every room of your home like they own it. This isn't a break-in. This isn't a nightmare. This is an HOA raid. And it happened right here in a quiet, perfectly manicured American subdivision. Today, you're going to hear exactly what went down, what
All
they
right, let's get this
destroyed,
done.
what they thought they could get away with, and why they
All
made
right,
the
lifting
biggest
now.
mistake
Push.
of their lives.
Got
when
it.
they
Going
chose this
up.
homeowner.
Steady.
Stay
Hold
right
it there. Locked
You're
in.
not going to believe what happens next. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell right now, because this story is going to shake you. Welcome back to Neighbor Wars HQ. I'm your host, and today we go to war. How it all started, the neighborhood that smiled and stabbed before we get into the raid itself. And trust me, we're going to break down every single detail of what happened. You need to understand the world this homeowner was living in. Because this story didn't start the day they came through that door. It started months, maybe years earlier. And if you've ever lived in an HOA, some of what I'm about to describe is going to feel very, very familiar. Our homeowner, let's call him Marcus, to protect his privacy while the legal case is still active, bought his home in 2019. Beautiful place. Corner lot. 3-car garage. He paid full asking price. Cash. No contingencies. Moved in on a bright Saturday morning with his wife, 2 kids, and a golden retriever named Captain. The neighborhood looked perfect. Manicured lawns, seasonal decorations, a community. Pool. The HOA welcome packet was 42 pages long. 42 pages. Rules about grass height. Rules about garage doors being left open for more than 20 minutes. Rules about what color your flower pots could be. Rules about holiday lights, when they could go up, when they had to come down, how many watts were permitted. Marcus thought it was a little much, but he signed the papers, paid his dues, and kept his head down. For 3 years, he never got a single violation notice. Not one. Then the board turned over. A new HOA president was elected. Her name, as it appeared in meeting minutes that were later obtained and are now part of the legal record, was Patricia Harlow. And from the moment Patricia took the gavel, Marcus's life inside that subdivision changed completely. Within 60 days of her taking office, Marcus received his first violation notice. His fence was allegedly 3 inches over the permitted height. 3 inches. He measured it himself, hired a surveyor, confirmed it was exactly the approved height. He submitted the documentation. Patricia's board rejected his response with a form letter. Over the next 8 months, Marcus received 11 more violation notices. His driveway was the wrong shade of gray. His basketball hoop, which had been in the same spot since he moved in, was now a violation because it cast a shadow onto a communal walkway after 4 p.m. One notice claimed his mailbox post was leaning. Marcus had a photo from that same morning proving it was perfectly straight. This was not enforcement. This was a campaign. And Marcus wasn't the only one who noticed. 3 other neighbors were receiving similar treatment. A retired couple 2 doors down got fined for their wind chimes. A young mother got cited because her welcome mat was too large. All of them were people who had spoken up at meetings. All of them had, at some point, questioned Patricia Harlow's decisions. The day everything changed, they actually did IT, was a Tuesday. Marcus's wife took the kids to school. Marcus left for work at his usual time, 7:47 a.m. Same as every day. He had a security camera system on his property. 8 cameras, cloud recorded, motion activated. He'd installed it 6 months earlier, specifically because of the ongoing HOA harassment. He thought the cameras might deter things from escalating. He had no idea those cameras were about to capture something that would be played in a courtroom. At 9:14 a.m., 2 vehicles, a white SUV and a gray pickup truck, pulled up to Marcus's home. 4 people got out. 3 were wearing polo shirts with the HOA logo. The 4th was carrying a toolbox. They walked up the driveway, bypassed the front door, went directly to the side gate, which was locked, and forced it open. They didn't knock. They didn't call. They had no police escort. They had no court order. They just went in. The security cameras recorded everything. Over the next 94 minutes, those four individuals moved through Marcus's backyard and portions of his property with what can only be described as deliberate, systematic destruction. The pergola Marcus had built the previous summer permits obtained, HOA application submitted, no response ever received from the board was dismantled board by board. The lumber was thrown into the pickup truck. Custom string lighting his wife had spent 3 weekends carefully installing, cut down and tossed into a pile on the lawn. Raised garden beds his kids had helped build overturned. Soil everywhere. The drip irrigation system Marcus had installed at significant expense ripped out of the ground. And then, and this is the part that has since been shared hundreds of thousands of times online, one of the individuals opened Marcus's storage shed, went inside, and began removing items. Garden tools, a generator, a portable air compressor, equipment that Marcus owned, that was stored on his own private property, that had nothing to do with any HOA rule. They were taking his stuff, not finding him, not documenting a violation, taking his stuff. At 10:48 a.m., the two vehicles drove away. Marcus's backyard looked like a demolition site. He got the motion alert notification on his phone at 9:15 a.m., 1 minute after they arrived. He was in a meeting. By the time he stepped out and called his wife, who rushed home, they were already gone. Marcus arrived home at 11:30 a.m. He stood in his own backyard and didn't speak for almost 2 full minutes. His wife is the one who finally said the words out loud. "Marcus, we have it all on camera. They picked the wrong homeowner." The counterattack begins. Here's where this story separates itself from the hundreds of HOA horror stories you may have seen on this channel and others. Most people, and I say this with zero judgment, because HOAs have enormous power and resources, most people back down. They write an angry email. They go to one board meeting. They vent to their neighbors. And then life gets in the way, and the HOA wins by exhaustion. Marcus did not back down. Within 4 hours of coming home that Tuesday, Marcus had called 3 law firms. By 6 p.m., he had retained one of them, a firm that specialized specifically in HOA disputes and property rights litigation. By Wednesday morning, his attorney had already submitted an emergency filing. And here's the detail that made this case absolutely explosive in the legal community. The HOA had no authority zero to enter Marcus's property that day. None. Not under state law. Not under their own CC and RS. Not under any emergency provision. They simply went in, and they took things. That's not enforcement. Under the law, what those 4 individuals did that Tuesday morning had a specific legal name. Marcus's attorney used it in the filing. The word was trespass, and the removal of his generator, his tools, his compressor, those items had another legal name. Conversion, which is, in plain English, theft. The HOA's attorney fired back quickly. They claimed that Marcus's pergola had been built without proper HOA approval, ignoring the paper trail, showing Marcus had submitted the application and never received a response. They claimed the entry was permitted under a rarely invoked provision of their governing documents that allowed inspections. Marcus's attorney dismantled that argument in about 2 paragraphs, noting that the provision required 48 hours written notice, permitted visual inspection only, and explicitly prohibited removal of any structures or personal property. Then came the deposition phase. And this is where it really unraveled for the HOA. Under oath, one of the individuals who had been present during the raid revealed that Patricia Harlow had personally directed the operation. Not just approved it, directed it. She had been in contact with the team by text message throughout. She had specifically instructed them to remove the pergola lumber and to take the equipment from the shed. The texts were subpoenaed. Every single one of them was recovered. Patricia Harlow had texted, and I am reading this directly from court documents which are part of the public record. Take whatever you can fit in the truck. Make it hurt. For words. Make it hurt. That text message became the centerpiece of everything that followed. Justice served. What happened in court, the civil case, moved with unusual speed, partly because of the strength of the video evidence and the text messages, and partly because the HOA's insurance carrier, once they reviewed the documentation, made clear they were not going to defend the indefensible. The board members involved began distancing themselves from Patricia Harlow almost immediately. Patricia Harlow resigned as HOA president on a Thursday evening by email with no explanation given to the community. 3 other board members resigned within the following week. The remaining board members voted to appoint an independent administrator to oversee the HOA's operations while the lawsuit was pending. The settlement, reached approximately 7 months after the raid, was sealed by mutual agreement. However, sources with knowledge of the agreement have indicated the amount was, and I'll quote, directly here, substantial, with multiple zeros. But here's the part Marcus wanted people to know. The part he actually cared about more than the money. As a condition of settlement, the HOA was required to formally acknowledge, in writing, sent to every single homeowner in the community, that the entry was unlawful, that the removal of Marcus's property was unlawful, and that the actions taken did not reflect the legitimate exercise of HOA authority. Every homeowner received that letter. Patricia Harlow's name appeared in it. The specific dates appeared in it. The full context appeared in it. The woman who sent 11 bogus violation notices, who ordered a raid on a family's home, who texted, "Make it hurt." She had to live in that neighborhood and watch every single neighbor read a letter about exactly what she had done. Marcus also secured, as part of the agreement, a formal revision to the HOA's governing documents with legal oversight to install clear, enforceable limits on what the board could and could not do. Inspection procedures requiring notice, documentation, and resident presence. Explicit prohibition on removal of any property without a court order. A grievance process with independent arbitration. An annual audit by a neutral third party. He didn't just win his case. He changed the rules. For everyone. Why this story matters. Every homeowner needs to hear this now. If you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. This is the kind of story I built this channel to tell. Because what happened to Marcus is not an isolated incident. HOA abuse of power is one of the most underreported, underdiscussed issues in American homeownership. Millions of people live under HOA governance. The vast majority of HOAs are run responsibly and fairly. But a significant number, a number that keeps growing as HOA boards attract people who see the position as an opportunity rather than a service, operate with near total impunity. Because most homeowners don't know their rights. Because the legal costs of fighting back feel overwhelming. Because the HOA knows it can outlast you. Marcus's story is a blueprint. Not because everyone should rush out and sue their HOA. That's not the point. The point is document everything. The moment you receive a violation notice that seems questionable, document it. The moment someone from the HOA shows up at your property, document it. Install cameras if you can. Save every email, every letter, every text. Know your CC and RS, actually read them. Know your state's HOA laws. Most states have statutes specifically governing HOA powers and limitations, and many people don't know they exist. Knowledge is the weapon HOA boards don't want you to have. And here's the thing I want you to sit with for a second. Patricia Harlow had been on that board for less than a year when this happened. She went from neighbor to authoritarian in under 12 months. She targeted specific homeowners who had questioned her. She orchestrated an illegal raid on a family's home. She texted, "Make it hurt," like a villain in a movie, except this was real. This was someone's actual house. Someone's kid's garden. Someone's tools. How does someone get there? How does someone go from "I want to help run my neighborhood" to "make it hurt"? That question is one I keep asking. And the answer, I think, is a combination of unchecked power, zero accountability, and the simple fact that until Marcus, no one had pushed back hard enough to actually cost her anything. That's the lesson. Cost them something. Not with anger. Not with screaming at meetings. With documentation. With knowledge. With the right attorney when it's warranted. With the kind of calm, methodical, evidence-based response that turns a bully's worst instincts into their own undoing. Marcus is still in his house. Captain the Golden Retriever still runs in the backyard, which, by the way, has a brand new pergola on it. His wife says the string lights she put up this time are twice as bright as the ones they destroyed. The raised garden beds are back. The kids planted tomatoes. Life goes on, but something changed in that community. People started talking to each other more. The new board, composed of homeowners who ran specifically on a transparency platform, published its first quarterly newsletter last month. It included a full accounting of all HOA funds. Every dollar, every expenditure, listed and explained. That's what accountability looks like. And it took one homeowner with a camera system and a willingness to fight to make it happen. If this story hit you somewhere real, if you've been through something like this, or you're going through it right now, drop it in the comments. Tell me your story. I read every single one. This community was built on these stories, and every comment you leave helps this channel reach someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to Neighbor Wars HQ. Hit the bell. Leave a comment below. And check out this video next. Point to screen card, because what happened in that neighborhood makes this one look like a minor disagreement. See you in the next one.